Hi friends, it's Dorje. Thanks for joining me today. We're going to be doing a prenatal yoga class. So it'll be super chill with really nice variations, really nice transitions into and out of postures. I want to dedicate this class to my friend Kathy, who is pregnant with her second child. Congratulations, Kathy. And I also want to give you the disclaimer that I never have, nor do I ever plan to be pregnant. So this is all based off of my personal experience with people who have been pregnant in my yoga classes and based off of research, because I want to be as informed as possible and advance my teaching. So ideally, mamas are not going to be lying down on their back for very long, if at all. But really, anyone who has a being growing inside of them, if you feel comfortable and you don't feel unsafe and you're not in any pain, you're welcome to do any of the postures that yoga has to offer. So even inversions into the third trimester are okay as long as your body says that it's okay. So really just being aware and understanding of what you feel like doing or what your body wants to be doing. So take any variations that feel good to you and just come out of it if it doesn't feel good to you. Another pro tip for humans who are pregnant is to not overstretch or hyperextend very much. So the hormones in your body are telling your body to loosen because you have to get a human being from inside of you to outside of you at some point. And so your ligaments are stretching and opening, so you don't want to overstretch and accentuate that even more so from where you're at. So working more with a little bit of stability and strengthening in a very gentle and accessible way is what we're going to be working with today, with some opportunity for gentle stretching. So I use 2 blocks. Feel free to grab 2 blocks. I also have a blanket if you like padding for your knees, especially if your knees feel a little bit sensitive or sassy. And any other props, if you like pillows or bolsters or anything else, totally works too. If you don't have yoga blocks, you can always use 2 water bottles or 2 textbooks, 2 wine bottles to celebrate your baby eventually, because obviously you're not drinking right now. So let's get started seated in Sukhasana, comfortable cross-legged seat, and then just finding where your center is, wiggling a little bit side to side. And I always love to wiggle around, as you know, so rocking through the shoulders, rolling one way, and then the other. And again, moving the head, that feels good to me. So if it feels good to you, please do that. And finding your nice tall spine, either close your eyes or gaze softly towards the floor. And if you like, your hands can rest on the knees, or you can take your hands to your belly and feel your baby. And just really connecting to your natural breath rate and noticing if paying attention to your breath allows you to feel more connected, not only to yourself, but to your baby as well. See if you can let go of any thoughts that might come up, any emotions that might be present. Not that you're pushing them away or rejecting them, but just allowing them to come in or arise with their presence. Acknowledge that they're there, and then allow your breath to release them. Take 3 more rounds of breath at your own pace. When you're done, you you can gently open the eyes if they aren't already. You can take your hands back behind you and then extend your legs forward so their feet are wide, the knees are wide, and then you can just gently rock the knees side to side. So wiggling a little. And then noticing your range of motion with the space of your belly. And then cross the legs the other way. Can't remember which leg is in front. So if you have to switch a couple times, that works too. So sitting up nice and tall, the opposite direction. Release your right arm towards the floor. Inhale, reach your left arm up. Exhale, hinge over towards the right. And inhale, come back to center. Exhale, lower the left arm. Inhale, the right arm reaches up. Exhale, hinge over to the left. So just gentle lateral movement. Inhale, reaching up. Exhale, lower down. Inhale, left arm up. Exhale, hinge right. Inhale, center. Exhale, lower. Again, inhale, reach the right arm. You can follow the hand with the gaze if that's comfortable. Exhale, over to the left. Inhale, center. Exhale, release it down. One more time each side. Inhale, left arm up. Exhale, hinge over to the right. And pause here. Soften the shoulder away from your left ear. Soften your right shoulder away from your right ear. You can even reach the right arm over or just bend a little more into the lower elbow. And then lift your heart up towards the ceiling. And then just start to slide your left elbow up and down. So a gentle shoulder stretch. Looking wherever it feels the most comfortable for your neck, or incorporating a little nerve glide by looking up and down with your chin. And then recenter your head. Inhale, lift your left arm up. Exhale, lower it down. Inhale, reach your right arm up. Exhale, hinge over to the left. And then same thing on this side, just soften both shoulders away from your ears. Turn your heart a little more towards the ceiling or the sky, and then looking up and down if that felt good. But definitely just moving the right elbow up and down. So just a nice little shoulder massage. Also a little low back massage. I feel this in my low back. As in like stretching, not straining. Keeping your jaw soft, your breath smooth and even. Recenter your head. Inhale, reach your right arm up. And exhale, soften it down. So then wiggling a little side to side. And then I love some arm circles, as you know. So just gentle arm circles. Maybe lifting the chin, maybe looking down. It just depends on what your neck needs. And then feeling that warmth happening in the shoulders and the arms. Switch directions of your circles. And then flipping yourself forward into tabletop pose. So however it helps you to get there. And then this is where the blanket comes in handy, so I'm gonna go profile so you can see a little bit better. And tabletop is a really great accessible pose for every human that is pregnant, because you can access so many things from here, because it leaves all of the space to your belly. So your knees can be right under the hips, or you can widen the stance a little bit if that feels good. I like to tuck my toes because it feels more stable, but you can always untuck them if that feels better for you. And then plant your palms underneath the shoulders, micro bend into your elbows, and then just kind of wiggle around or circle through the hips and really feel the human being that you're growing beneath you. Feel that space that they take up. And then how that is cueing your body to move. Coming back to center, classic cat-cows. Inhale, Lift your chin and slightly lift your tailbone, so not overextending in the spine. Exhale, tuck your tailbone, look towards your baby. Again, inhale, lift the tail and the chin. Exhale, arch the heart up towards the ceiling. And just keep going. Follow your own breath, inhaling for cow, your extension of the spine, and exhaling for cat, the flexion of the spine, and noticing your baby moving. Pause anywhere that feels good. Don't pause if you would rather continue moving. Do one more round. Gentle extension, gentle flexion. And once you come back to neutral, widen the stance of the knees and release your hips towards your heels for Bhaktasana, devotional pose. So if the forehead doesn't want to come all the way down to the floor, I love to rest my forehead on a block, or you can use whatever prop you were using. Tons of space for the baby, but also creating space for you. Take 3 long inhales and exhales here. Inhale, rise back up. Come back into your tabletop pose. Inhale, reach your left arm up towards the ceiling. Nice open twist. Exhale, lower it down. Same thing on the other side. Inhale, reach your right arm up. Exhale, lower it down. 2 more each side. Inhale, left arm lifts. Maybe follow the hand with your gaze. Exhale, lower it back down. Inhale, right arm reaches up again. Exhale to lower. And one more time, each side at your own pace. And just noticing the gentle twist in your spine, noticing the movement of your belly. And once you come back, you can always wiggle it out or move through the hips, the shoulders, the head. You know I'm all about that organic movement. And then you're welcome to utilize the props, but you don't have to. I am, because it just really it helps you access a lot of space. So from your table, you can plant the blocks high or whatever you're using, come back up, and then step your left foot to the outside of your left hand. So I like to scooch my foot forward enough just so that my knee, so you can see a little bit, my knee is just a little bit behind my ankle. And then feel free to shift forward and back with the hips. I know I do this a lot in a lot of my classes, but it's really fun, it's really nice, it feels great on the hip. And just utilizing your blocks or your props really helps make even more space for the belly for your baby. So the next time your left leg straightens, you can slide the blocks back so that they're more underneath your shoulders. And micro bend into your left knee. You can start to fold forward over your legs. So I'm only gonna scooch my blocks forward because I like to bring my forearms down. If your forearms come down and that feels comfy, feel free to go there. You can go as close to the floor as you want, but you can also stay as far away from the floor as you want as well. So just finding that sweet spot where you're finding a nice stretch in your left leg, maybe in the hamstrings, maybe in the IT band. You could feel a nice release in the low back a little bit, but it just kind of depends on your body and what's accessible for you, what feels good for you. And then as always, feel free to soften into stillness or have micro movements either forward and back or side to side. And just continuing to reconnect to your breath. So you're growing a being inside of you, and your breath is very important to cue your baby's nervous system as much as your own nervous system. Then take 2 more breaths here. When you're done, inhale to lengthen back up, and exhale, rebend into your left knee. So from here, root through your left foot and rise up to a kneeling. So Anjaneyasana, crescent lunge. From here, take your arms wherever it feels comfy. So my arms just automatically went to, my hands went to my hips, but you could do cactus elbows, you can reach up towards the ceiling. Just being mindful that the back bend isn't too intense. Again, not a lot of hyperextension. You can notice you're getting an opening in your right hip flexor, but you're not super releasing your knee back behind you. So there's still stabilizing happening, there's still strengthening happening, in addition to stretching. So the mobility isn't compromised by lack of engagement. So just really enjoying your crescent lunge, whatever that means for you. Any movement that feels good, arm circles, you know I love to move around, so climb the ladder, etc., etc. Or just resting in stillness. Take 2 more deep breaths here. And then just resting your left hand on your left thigh. Inhale, open your right arm back behind you. So a gentle twist. Feel free to reach the left arm forward if that feels more comfortable for you, but you can just soften it down if that feels better. So inhale, come back to center. You can bring hands to heart, or just keep your left hand where it is. Softening through the shoulders. On your next inhale, reach the right arm back behind you. Exhale, bring it back forward. We'll do that one more time. Inhale, open the arm or both arms. Exhale, return back to center. Lower hands to your blocks. Step your left knee back. And then from here, just walk the hands with or without blocks forward a little bit and shift the hips forward and back. So it's almost like a mini vinyasa flow without the vinyasa flow. Everything's a vinyasa flow, fun fact. So the next time your hips go forward, you can lift your heart, soften your shoulders, lift your gaze for a grounded up dog. As you exhale, you can shift the hips back, not quite into, it's like a weird Bhaktasana or child's pose, but exhale, the hips go back. You can widen the knees if that's more comfortable, but the inhale brings you forward and lifts the heart. Exhaling to flex back. And one more time. Inhale forward, gentle back bend, no straining. Exhale, lengthen back, wiggle it out. And when you feel ready, step your right foot outside your right hand. So same thing, other side, Anjaneyasana, just keeping your left knee exactly where it is. The right foot can come forward enough that your knee doesn't go past the ankle too much. So you want to keep the back hip pretty much over the knee to stabilize. And then you're moving basically to explore how this side feels versus the other side. Straighten through your right leg. I like to pick up my toes, but you don't have to. Slide the blocks back so they're more in line with your calf or under the shoulders. And then feel free to fold forward, but you don't really have to. Elbows can come down, or you can always lower the blocks lower. very tight, so are not going to go very far forward at all. But just again, noticing stretch maybe in the back of the right thigh, the outside of the right thigh. Maybe it's in the calf. Some people feel it a lot in the calf, a little bit in the ankle. Ideally, you want it in the biggest part of the muscles where the stretch is coming from. But you're also stabilizing with your left knee. And if you do come forward, again, just noticing the space you make for baby, softening through your shoulders, and taking 2 long, smooth breaths here for you and for baby. Inhaling to come back up if you lower it down. Exhale, bend into your right knee. So again, keeping the stabilization of both knees bent approximately 90 degrees. Inhale to lift your heart. Hands can go where they feel best for Anjaneyasana crescent lunge. So again, just feeling it out if one side feels a little stronger than the other, or if your sides feel pretty equal. Both are human. And then any movements that feel good to you might be the same, might be something different. We're just all hanging out here. You, me, and baby makes 3. Take 2 more long breaths in your Anjaneyasana crescent lunge. So now open twists on the opposite side, so the right hand can rest on the right thigh, or you can bring the hands to heart center. Maybe you want to try it with open arms, both of them on this side. Inhaling to reach your left arm back, the right arm can reach forward, or it can remain resting, whatever feels better. Exhaling to slowly come back to center. We'll do that 2 more times on this side. Inhale, open twist to the left, making space for baby. Exhale, back to center. 1 more time. Inhale, open twist. Exhale, back to center. Lower the hands back to your blocks. Replace the right knee underneath the hips. And then same movements or similar movements, shifting hips side to side. Feel free to go forward and back if you enjoyed that on the first time, or the little in-between vinyasa of just an inhale for your grounded Urdhva Mukha Svanasana, upward facing dog. Exhaling for your baby Bhaktasana, baby devotional pose. No pun intended, all the puns intended, let's be real. So the inhale usually takes you to your extension or your back bend. The exhale brings you into flexion, but if you like to switch the breath cues, that's fine too. And then from here, stack the hips directly over the knees. You can remove the blocks to come back into table. And then lower yourself into puppy pose. So the forearms come down, the forehead comes towards the floor. You have tons of space for a baby, but feel free to widen your knees if that feels better. And take 2 more deep breaths in your gentle back bends. Inhale, lift the head, come back into tabletop pose. So if you have been doing yoga before and downward facing dog is something that you're used to, and or if you've been pregnant before and you know that that's accessible to you, we're going to go into down dog. If you're not sure, we can start with a quarter dog. So you'll walk the hands forward to palm prints. So you're essentially doing upper body down dog stance with lower body staying pretty much in tabletop pose. So you'll press the hips back a little bit, but not too far. You can always adjust the stance of the hands, but you're finding that nice V shape with the spine, just with less intensity and with less pressure on the hands, less weight. And if, again, you find down dog accessible, we won't stay there for too long because you don't want baby to be like, what's happening? Why am I upside down? They might love that. They might hate that. Again, every baby, every mom is different. Every human being is different. So if you do come into downward facing dog, feel free to keep the knees nice and bent and wiggle around, finding a nice long extension or rather long neutrality of the spine. And just take a couple more breaths here. And if you kept your knees down, you can always walk the hands back into table, and we'll slowly walk the hands back towards the feet. So the knees will lift, walk the hands back towards the feet. You can widen your feet stance, remove the blanket off to the side, bend your knees a lot, so that you have tons of space for baby in between the knees, and then you can sway gently side to side. I like to hang in ragdoll sometimes. Sometimes I just like to bring the backs of my hands to the floor, do a nice little wrist stretch, but really it's up to you, whatever you prefer to do with your arms and your hands. Just let the top of your head release towards the floor and allow gravity to traction out the back of your neck. And then centering your hips, rooting through your feet slowly, roll all the way up to stand. Cool. So from here, slow motion, walk to the front of your mat, a little meditation walk. And then keeping your right foot a little bit wider than hip width, step your left foot back for warrior one stance. So again, with the not hyperextending, the not going to your super edge as a person who is cooking a human inside of you, you don't want your stance to be like way back here. You don't want to come into an intense variation of any of the standing poses especially. So a little bit shorter stance is great and helps to build that stability and that strength for when you're carrying that baby around for like 2 or 3 years after they're born, right? So as you bend into your right knee, just allow it to pause directly over the ankle. You can ground the back heel, or you can always lift it up if that's more comfortable. It's a little bit more engaging to be in high lunge. But as you root through the legs, inhale, reach the arms up, and if you want to take a different arm variation, feel free to do that instead. I just kind of want to feel out my shoulders because they're tight. Actually, why don't we do eagle arms? So, cactus elbows. Cactus elbows. And then lace your right elbow under your left. Bring the backs of your hands together maybe. Maybe you can hook onto that thumb. Or maybe it's way more comfortable for you to just give yourself a hug and be like, good job, body. You're growing a baby. Soften the shoulders down your back. Lift your elbows up and forward. And then really feel the strength of your legs, the power of your legs. Notice baby hovering over that foundation, and then lengthen through the top of your head as your shoulders gently open. Take 2 more deep breaths here. You can release the arms, take the hands to the hips, and then gently step yourself forward, and then just wiggle a little side to side to traction it out. So same thing other side. Left foot is just outside the left hip. You're just making tons of space for baby, wherever you are in your trimesters. Stepping the right foot back, and then just noticing where you naturally want to go to, and whether that's natural because you have baby growing inside of you, or it's natural because you've been doing yoga and you're used to a certain stance, but we're trying to find a shorter stance here to make it more accessible for your body in this state. So finding a slightly shorter Virabhadrasana 1 stance, bending your left knee directly over the ankle. Maybe it's a little bit behind. You don't have to make it hard. Grounding your right heel or lifting it up for crescent. And rooting through your legs. Inhale, lengthen the arms up. And again, you're just feeling it out before we do our eagle arms. Softening the shoulders away from the ears. Lifting the chin level with the floor. Inhale, cactus your elbows. Exhale, this time your left elbow goes underneath the right. And then, again, option to give yourself a hug. Backs of hands can come together, or you can hook your thumb or palms can touch. I'm just gonna give myself a hug. Soften the shoulders. Elbows can lift up and forward. And take 2 more deep breaths here. Again, just being aware of your baby floating above your solid foundation of Virabhadrasana 1, Warrior 1. When you're done, you can release the arms down, hands to hips, step yourself forward, and then just gently twist side to side with or without arms. So you can like literally have your arms be like drawing Saturn's rings around the planet that is your baby. So step wide to your mat so you're facing the long edge. And again, we're not doing an intense wide straddle, we're doing an accessible baby body wide straddle. So a little bit wider than the hips. So this is more your Warrior 1 stance. This can be your wide angle, wide straddle stretch. So from here, point the toes out. Shock surprise, we're gonna go into a wide squat. So from here, inhale, open the arms wide, star pose, shine bright like a diamond. Exhale, bend the knees and bend the elbows. Inhale, root through the legs, open up again, reach up. Exhale, bend elbows, bend knees. Do that one more time. Inhale, lengthen tall. Exhale, bend elbows, bend knees, and then stay low. You can soften your hands to your hips. You can place hands on belly and be like, what's up, baby? How you feeling? And then just gently go side to side. This is obviously great if you're working for a natural birth or a home birth. Squats are just great all around. From here, root through your feet. Inhale, rise back up to stand. Hands can come to your hips, and then you'll turn your right toes to the short edge of the mat. Your left toes will turn in slightly. So Trikonasana triangle pose. Inhale, lift through the crown of your head, micro bend both knees, even though the legs are straight. And then exhale, just hinge yourself over your right leg. So from here, you can always open the arms wide. You can keep them at heart. You can hold on to baby. You can take hands to your low back, whatever feels the best. And then finding maybe a little bit of a stretch in the left, your right hip rather, maybe the inner right thigh. 2 more deep breaths here. On your second exhale, bend into your right knee, float it right over the ankle, and then lower your right elbow towards or just float it above your right knee. And then inhale, your left arm swoops up for extended side angle, Uttita Prajnakonasana. So you have all this space for belly, you're doing a nice open hip, strengthening stretch. 2 more deep breaths here. And then root through the legs. Inhale, rise back up to stand. Exhale, turn both toes towards the long edge of the mat. So parallel the feet, micro bend into the knees, hands to your hips. Inhale, lift through the top of the head. Exhale, hinge forward. So belly is lowering down in between the knees. I like to grab a block here You could always have 2 blocks. So mama, come forward as much as feels comfortable for you. Do a couple twists on each side before doing triangle and side angle on the second side. So left hand plants underneath your face, on the floor, on the block, wherever. Inhale, reach your right arm up towards the ceiling, maybe follow the hand with the gaze. Exhale to lower it down. Switch sides. Inhale, left arm lifts up. Exhale, lower. 2 more times each side. Inhale, right arm opens. Feel the hips tilt. Exhale, lower. Inhale, left arm opens. Exhale, lower. 1 more time each side. Feeling your knees softly bend. The spine twist. Again, the hips gently tilting. Baby rolling around. Once you're done with both sides, root through the feet, hands to your hips. Inhale, rise back up to stand. This time your left toes go to the short edge of the mat. Your right toes turn in slightly. Straighten both legs, micro bend the knees. Hands stay on your hips as you inhale, root through your feet to rise. And exhale, hinge over your left leg. So then same thing here, hands can go heart, belly, wide, back, anything that your heart desires. And your head looks wherever it feels comfortable to. Trikonasana triangle pose. 2 more deep breaths here. On your second exhale, bend your left knee directly over the ankle. Float your left elbow just above or all the way down. You can always just rest the hand inside the calf as well. And then inhale, rock star, your right elbow up over the head. Utthita Parshvakonasana, extended side angle. 2 deep breaths here. Root through your legs. Inhale, rise to stand. Exhale, hands to your hips. Turn the toes in. And then just slowly walk your feet back together. So you're welcome to stay facing the wide edge of the mat, or you can come down to the front edge of the mat, turning to the top of your mat. But stepping your feet about hips width apart, we'll come into a squat. So hands to your heart, bend your knees, lower down. If this is comfortable for you to rest in, then feel free to just chill and do things that you like to do in your Malasana Garland pose. And if this is less accessible for you, you can always make it more accessible by sitting up on one of your props. So you're just removing all of the weight, all the weight bearing of the legs and putting it into the sits bones that are resting on a stable prop. So whatever feels the best for you, please do that. And then maybe some gentle twisting side to side. You all, if you've been doing any of my classes on YouTube, you'll know I love to do this. Just even out both sides if you are twisting. But if you're already seated, because you're like, I'm over this, don't worry, I'll join you soon. And then from here, lower yourself down slowly, so using one or both hands. And then bringing the soles of your feet together, Baddha Konasana, bound ankle pose. So your feet are going to go further away from you than usual probably. This is my preferred way to do Baddha Konasana just because it feels better on my hips and my legs. So from here, wiggle a little side to side. Really feel all the space that you have for baby, whichever trimester you're in. Root through your sits bones as you inhale, lengthen through the top of the head. And feel free to just stay here if you want, or if you want, you can exhale and hinge forward because you've made more space for baby. And then again, I love to go side to side, as you know. And just softening and slowing down your breath. Cueing your own parasympathetic nervous system, which affects baby's parasympathetic nervous system. So you're telling telling yourself and baby to be calm and relaxed and feel safe. And inhale, slowly come back up to seated if you're not already there. You'll keep your left foot in towards your right thigh. Extend your right leg out to the side at a 45-degree angle. And then totally up to you. You can point the toes or you can flex through the foot. And then slowly turn your chest towards your left knee. You can rest your right hand on top of or inside the extended leg. And then inhale, reach your left arm up. Option, exhale, you can hinge over for Parvrita, Janu Sirsasana, or revolved, seated, whatever this is. And then just look wherever it feels comfortable. The shoulders stay soft away from the ears. Usually I feel this most in my lower side back. So the muscles that stabilize the back of the pelvis. So it feels better for me as opposed to, some people get it more in the upper ribs, the upper side ribs, but it really just depends on your body. Take 2 more long breaths here. When you're ready, inhale, lengthen back up to seated. Exhale, plant your left palm next to your hip. Inhale, reach your right arm up, and then you can extend back without lifting the hips, or if it's comfortable for your body, you can root through the legs and press into your left hand to lift the hips and lengthen up and back behind you. As you exhale, you'll sit back down or just lower the arm if that's all you lifted, and take 2 more rounds of that. So inhale to reach the right arm back, maybe lift the hips up, like a variation of wild thing. Exhale, slowly sit back down, and we'll do 1 more. Inhale, just to lengthen up. Exhale, release and lower. Hands can come behind you, just like the beginning of class. Feet go wider than your hips, and then just wiggle your knees a little side to side. You can go as far to the side as feels comfortable. And then same thing, other side, the right foot comes in, the left leg extends out. Micro bend into your left knee, rest your left hand on or inside the leg as you turn your heart towards the right knee. Inhale, reach your right arm up towards the ceiling. Maybe stay here, maybe exhale to hinge over your left leg. And then just noticing any differences in this side, if there are any at all. Again, softening through the shoulders, turning your head wherever it feels best. Two more deep breaths here. Inhale, reach the right arm up towards the ceiling. Exhale, plant it outside your right hip. And then you have the same options on this side. Inhale, left arm can reach up. Maybe you just extend back with the heart and shoulders. Maybe you root through the legs and root through the right hand to lift the hips. Exhaling to slowly sit back down. 2 more times, whichever variation you're choosing. Inhale to lengthen up and back. Exhale, slowly sit. 1 more time. Inhale, lift up. And exhale, lower down. So hands come behind you again. Bend the knees, feet go wide, all that space for baby. And then seated pigeon pose. So seated figure 4, whatever you want to call it. You'll scoot your left foot forward more, and then you'll cross your right ankle just below the knee. So you can stay here, you can bring it in as much as baby will allow for, or you can extend it out, or you can just kind of slide forward and back. I can slide because I'm on this hardwood floor, but you can also just scooch your butt forward if that feels good. And any movement side to side that feel good as well. So not lying on the belly prone because we want to not squish baby. and not doing reclined pigeon because we don't want to inhibit any circulation. And wherever you are, taking 2 more long, smooth inhales and exhales. When you're ready to release, extend both legs forward, release the hands. You can shake out the legs, bounce the knees, wiggle the toes side to side. You can take the wrists together, fingers wide, and then just roll around, just to give your wrists a little bit of love. And then we'll do the same thing on the other side. So hands can go back. Another variation that I discovered in my research is you can come to forearms as well. So I'll just show that variation here. So with whatever the other leg is, the right foot planted down, and then you can cross the left ankle just below the right knee. You can scooch the knee forward here and then go side to side if this is comfortable for you. And if you're like, no, this is not comfortable at all, you can always come back to hands down. It doesn't matter where the fingers point. You can also come to fists. As long as the elbows are bent a little bit to engage the arms, that's really what matters. If you are upright, it'll be a little bit more intense depending on how close baby allows your leg to get to you. And if you're down on the elbows, it's a little bit less intense, which can also feel nice, but you're still getting a nice little hip opener. So wherever you're at, finding a little bit of movement or remaining still, and taking 2 more deep breaths. Then extend both legs forward. So if you're on your elbows, keep your knees bent to push yourself up to seated. And if you're already up, you can just extend the legs directly and then bounce it out. Kind of do whatever feels good. Crew boat row. I can't talk right now. However it feels good on you. And then again, in my research, it has been suggested that moms lie on their left side. So whichever side is your left side, you can figure out your direction there. But you could also do a reclined seat, essentially a reclined Shavasana instead. So I don't have a bolster anymore, but you could basically set it up with your blocks on a little tiered tower, and then you can set the bolster on top of here, and then you'd be able to lean back. And this could be your Shavasana because you don't want to lie flat on your back. And if you are going to lie down on your left side that you just figured out, you can use your blanket or pillow or whatever, because a blanket between the knees can be so nice. And then you're just laying down. Sometimes I like to use a block as a pillow because it just encourages my neck to relax. So you have all this space for baby. You can always plant a palm where baby is. Take your other arm, your lower arm, your left arm rather, wherever it feels the most comfortable. Essentially get yourself into as comfortable of a position as you can where you could potentially fall asleep. And if you do fall asleep, awesome, you deserve the rest. You're growing a human being. If you don't fall asleep, that's also fine too. So once you find your variation of Shavasana, allow your breath to just neutralize. And again, just connecting to that nourishing aspect of the breath. Allowing your face, your jaw to be soft. And finding some self-compassion and self-gratitude. You're doing the amazing thing of growing a human being inside of you. And that is no small feat, so you deserve some rest. And feel free to turn off the video at any time if you feel like you just want to rest here for a super long period of time. We'll be here for a few more minutes before coming up and ending if you'd like to end together. And again, just continuing to allow your breath to nourish you and baby. And again, feel free to stay here as long as you'd like. But if you're ready to come out of Shavasana, take 3 deep inhales and exhales. You can gently wiggle through the fingers and your toes. Take your time, and in your favorite way, in your own way, you'll gently lift yourself up to seated, and we'll end the same way we started class with. So remove any props you may need to. Sitting cross-legged in Sukhasana, easy seat. Wiggling a little side to side with the spine. You can roll through the shoulders. You can move through your head once you come up to seated. Maybe reclosing the eyes, maybe keeping your gaze soft towards the floor. And then this time, actually taking the hands to the belly and just feeling baby. And children and babies are very sensitive to higher energies. So if you would like to incorporate ohms into your practice, I am not an ohm chanter with the long rolling ohms, but I like to say it. So you can say it out loud, or you can just think it to yourself. We'll do 3 sets of 3 ohms. So a gentle inhale. Om, om, om. Om, om, om. Om, om, om. And a couple more deep inhales and exhales. If you like, you can take your hands to Anjali Mudra, prayer position at the heart. Thank you so much for joining me online. Be happy, be healthy. Namaste.